I will never forget the guy who was rocking out for Jesus. I was visiting a church that was very emotional, very expressive, and there was a guy standing in the front row in his Sunday best. Full suit, tie, and bright white tennis shoes. But I soon found out why he wore the shoes. He was jumping and celebrating and praising Jesus. But before I laughed at the guy, I listened to the song that he was praising. It was a song that said, "I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. He calls me friend." And I realized with those words that this guy was right. Can you imagine not just to be a child of God or a servant of God or a disciple of Jesus, but a friend of God? If our working definition of friendship is a preferred companion, that God would actually prefer you, that even if no one picked you, even if no one invited you out, even if you got left off the guest list or the Evite, even if you didn't make it to the party or the sleepover, that God would prefer to be with you, to call you his friend. You know, back in the day when people wanted to rip on Jesus, they made this accusation. They said, "The Son of Man is a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners." But I don't think Jesus wasn't insulted by the insult. He wasn't ashamed to be called the friend of sinners. And I love that fact. You have a Jesus who doesn't just put up with you, he prefers to be with you. And so if you struggle with loneliness, if it's a Friday night and no one invited you out, I don't want this to be a small thing in your heart, that Jesus calls you his friend. Maybe you want to buy a pair of bright white tennis shoes and start to dance and praise and worship, because what in the world could be better than the God of heaven and earth preferring to be your companion, preferring to call you his friend?
You know who were the loneliest Americans in the study of 20,000 people? Americans 18 to 22. Who, despite all their social media friends, all the texts, all the Snapchats, all the Instagram pictures, they felt incredibly alone.
Do you enjoy these videos? We would love for you to catch more. You can click the subscribe button. And if you do, I will tell you all of Pastor Phil Huebner's deepest, darkest secrets, because I went to college with him. Beware, Pastor Huebner. Have a great week.